So this first section is just to orient you, why we are here, what we want to achieve. So the first thing to look at is our aim. So the aim we wanted to achieve was to make sure that all of you authors and conveners had an opportunity to meet together to build up your working relationships with each other and to, as Eric has said, review some of the technical challenges of assessing students in an online environment, and also to start to think ahead about how we will be able to meet new opportunities and new challenges in the new learning management system. So this is our aim overall, and so we want you to be able to spend time face-to-face, over coffee, over dinner, with people that you will be working with. Because, I mean, I first did some research on this 20 years ago and established that if you give people a chance to work together face-to-face, they can work remotely with each other very effectively for quite long periods of time without meeting up again. But investing in those working relationships and showing our appreciation and making sure that people are aware of what is expected of them and what guidance is available will really, really enhance how well we can work together. So that's our aim. So when you are chatting over dinner tonight, you are still helping to achieve our aim. So as well as an aim, an overall aim, we do have some more specific objectives, and it is educationally necessary to mention those to you now, just to show that this is very structured and that this is good practice. So the sessions are designed to give you an opportunity to be welcomed and appreciated for your role with EULAR and network over dinner. But also, this next section is about reviewing the EULAR processes, the very important timetable and working practices. So these specific deadlines and things which we must all meet in order to not let our colleagues down. Because, make no mistake, this is a very complex, many-stage process. As I'm sure you are aware, if in any academic publishing, this is a type of academic publishing, and it is like a long relay race where you have to do your bit and hand on what you have done to the next person in the race. And what happens is that the EULAR office and myself sit there, we are longing for you to get to the deadline, because if you go past the deadline, we have to make it somehow be online for the learners. So it's very important, and we want to review with you some of those processes and the timetable shortly. But we also want you to have an opportunity to ask questions or to clarify what is expected of you in your role. And again, this next section will be helping with that, I hope. And then we can move on. And one of the things which we have run this once before, 2 years ago in Prague, and one of the things that the conveners and authors told us was the most valuable thing was to be left alone in a room with their other course team members to work together to review and improve the materials that they had already in their course. And so that is what we have also built into the programme. Plenty of time for you to work together to decide what your priorities are, where you want to improve, what your plans are. We have even arranged for some people who cannot be here in person will be putting their questions and contributions in a webinar with Eric alongside your teams, so that they also can get access to some of the their questions answered. And we are focusing on these specific parts of the course. Now, we talk about these regularly using the initials. You know how fond we are of acronyms. So we talk about ICCs and IDDs and A1s and A2s. So just to try and clarify and make sure what we are talking about, these are the ways in which the course was designed so that the online environment would work for learners. So we were trying to make sure that it was not just an online giant textbook, not a very expensive way to read on screen, but we wanted to simulate having an intensive discussion with a clinical colleague about a case. And so that everything that the learner was approaching was in the clinical context. And that's a very important theme for today. And Professor Jose da Silva is going to run a session with us on teaching and assessing in the clinical context. And the aim of this is for you to then sit and look afresh at your course materials. And Jen has brought with her a magic memory stick which has a copy of every single bit of every course materials with her, so that in your course groups you can have a look at the real material. And maybe you will select at random one module to look at together and review it and see how you could enhance the clinical context and make sure that the practice assessment questions, A1, and the possible exam questions, A2, follow the guidelines and the technical suggestions that we have for you. And all this will improve the quality of what we offer and will keep EULAR as the preeminent provider of education in rheumatology across Europe, which is, of course, our big aim. So we will ask each group tomorrow to give us a brief insight into what they have discussed and what their plan is, just to keep you interested. And that is how we will round things off tomorrow. But we're also going to give you a bit of teaching. We have 3 sessions that are designed to give you some opportunity to develop some skills of working in an online environment using the new learning management system, which gives us some new opportunities. We are going to be going multimedia. Okay. And so colleagues Xenophon and Loreto are going to join me to the design sessions to give you some new ways of looking at teaching. So this is what we need to think about today. So we're in now session 1, the slightly dry material, okay, a little bit on quality assurance and timetables. Then some teaching from Jose and myself about teaching and assessing in the clinical context. Then a coffee break, because then you have the chance to start and move to different rooms around this corridor with your fellow authors, with convenors leading your discussions, leading us up to dinner. So that's the overall shape of today. In case you're worrying about day 2, here's the overview of day 2. And 8:30 to 10:30. So you are grown-up professionals, but what we wanted was to make sure you had another good 2-hour session to work with your colleagues tomorrow morning. And then 11 to 12:30, as I said, we will be running a session with some new approaches to teaching. And then after lunch, it's your time to just pull together thoughts in your group, elect somebody to be a spokesperson, because they will then be giving us a summary of where you are up to, and any requests or final questions or things that you want and need EULAR to know can happen at that point. And so we aim to summarise, evaluate things and bring the event to a close by 3 o'clock tomorrow. So I hope that is more or less what you were expecting. So we're now well into this first session, so welcoming you and talking about processes and so on. And so in this section, Eric is going to speak to you. We're going to invite Gabriella to make sure if there's anything she would like to emphasise. And then I'm going to talk about overall quality assurance systems.